Welcome to the Monday Morning Mixtape. On this week's show we're going to discuss the very nature of music itself and what's the difference between noise and music. So... welcome to the show. I want to be clear with this from the get-go, right? It's about noise music. It's not going to be for everyone. We're not going to do this big deep dive into the history of noise music because I think that probably defeats the whole purpose of it. And so, kind of maybe it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, also, I don't really want to do it.
We're extremely lazy people anyway, so...
Yeah.
And who wants to listen to a history lesson anyway? We're here to, talk about... our feelings.
Yeah, and it's not something that kind of normally we get away with the metal because we already know all about it. Yeah. So we don't have to do too much research because like with the 80s and the 90s metal thing that's going to be coming up, it's like, well, we lived through it. So, but yeah, I suppose
we're young.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
Okay. Rub it in there. Fine.
Well, Mark is.
Oh, thank you. Hey, he's turned the big 3-0 this year, so you know.
Not yet.
But you are this year.
Yeah, gosh, it's all over when you hit that.
Yeah, it's all downhill from there.
But
anyway,
it was downhill since I hit 10.
Sitting in your tree, crying, going, oh.
Yeah, life is not worth living anymore.
The day I got the stabilizer off my bike, I was like, sure, look, it's all downhill from here now.
And then he met me and he started to plummet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Existential crisis all over the place.
He's just in a spiral now. Yeah. A self-harm.
Massive nihilism. Yeah.
But
so
yeah, noise music.
We're here for, counselling and for our own just fun. Let's talk about noise.
So I suppose what we'll define noise music as, right? I suppose clearer kind of things with it is most people's, not most people, everyone likes it. As humans, we're geared towards patterns and pattern recognition. That's why kind of when we see dots, we try and make faces out of them.
We look at things,
we need to see patterns. We need to have a reason why things happen. That's why kind of you have stuff like religion and kind of political systems. It's that we need to feel like
put
there's
a structure
order
on things
and stuff. So
everything has to make sense.
Yeah, and then so with music, that's why music normally follows. Or popular music, what people like, it's like you have your intro, verse, chorus,
bridge, verse, 4/4 beat, that
4/4
kind of
beats,
stuff.
yeah. So it all follows. So when you're listening to it, it's kind of like, oh, went there. You're not really shocked by it, and it follows that pattern. So your brain kind of stays in tune. Yeah,
and you can anticipate.
Yeah, whereas noise music or experimental music tends to go, you know what? Fuck song structure and fuck music theory, and this is it. And it's been around for, Jesus, probably forever. People have been experimenting with it. Really, I suppose the early 1900s would have seen the growth of it, and kind of with the birth of futurism as well, where people were kind of focused on modernity and machines and stuff. And Luigi, hey Mario,
not that one.
Rizzolo was probably one of the first, where he made these things that were kind of drum machines, I suppose, and it was they were massive speakers that generated noise and put on a concert with it, and people thought that it was the devil, and they hated it, and they chased him out of town and burned him to death. And then kind of you had other people who were kind of over the years doing similar bits and pieces, and when they would put them on as performance pieces, just reacted really, really badly, because it is the thing when you hear that sonic thing just where it doesn't follow, it's like, my God, this isn't music, this isn't right, this isn't, because as much as people go on about oh, that's the devil's music, or this is at least kind of say with the blues, they all follow a pattern, and people kind of whereas with a lot of, I suppose, noise music, you can't dance to it. Then the 60s. Well, you can, yeah. But in the 60s, then I suppose you had John Cage doing stuff, and there was people experimenting a lot more with stuff. Velvet Underground. Lou Reed, I suppose, maybe would have been responsible for what would be considered the first noise album with metal machine music, where a lot of people have it down as being the worst album ever, and fucking things that they absolutely hated. But I suppose for kind of modern noise music, a lot of people see come from industrial music, noise rock, I suppose, bands like Sonic Youth, who I fucking absolutely adore. But then there's this whole kind of subculture of what I suppose a lot of people associate noise music with, that are into a Japan noise. Some people call it Morsbo,
Japan noise,
and all those people.
Would that be? I haven't heard of it as that, but it kind of sounds similar to the idea of the black MIDI files or the black MIDI genre. Like, you know what a MIDI
Never heard
file
of
is?
it. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the concept was like with a black MIDI, like, do you know why like a MIDI file is technically, if you can actually see it as like a kind of a scrolling player piano almost. It's like the equivalent of a digital player piano. This was like adding billions or trillions of notes, so much so that all you see is just a scrolling like almost looks like black noise or static noise just scrolling past, and it's like going, how many notes and how dense can you get this
as
while
opposed to
still
white noise,
maintaining an actual tone and actual rhythm. And it's used in a lot of like those kind of bullet shooter games or stuff like that. It's very popular in Japan. That's why just when you said it there, I thought it might have something to do with it, because I hadn't heard the one you're talking about. But
it sounds like it would fit in with that kind of stuff. That definitely said, because like it's experimental and it is creating noise with it. Like with MIDI kind of like data is what, like, it's, I suppose, if people are from, Morsbo is probably the most famous artist to come out of the whole noise thing, especially from Japan. And I suppose instrumentally, what a lot of them kind of do, they're more for feedback loops, which they create through like mixing discs, without say an instrument actually going through. So you get this feedback. Sonic Youth as well can like manipulate feedback a lot as well. But then they use like pedals, as well, like Morsbo with like loads of distortion pedals and all that, and then kind of like maybe samples and loops thrown in. It's noise, but there's like structure to it as well at the same point. I don't. What was your experiences? Did you go off listening to any music or looking at any documentaries or kind of like live gigs with it, or?
Not a whole lot now. I will admit I listened to a little bit of it and I very quickly was like,
not for me.
It's like, some of the genres and some of the music that we've covered on this podcast before, I could go, I definitely wouldn't listen to it in my own stuff, but I can find like artistic flares, or I can see something that I like about it. But when it came to this one, I can't say I found anything that I found too appealing about it. It was like something that I felt like the old man or the dad in a stereotypical like family sitcom was like, turn off that shit. It was reminding me of that South Park episode where like, all I hear is shit.
I suppose it does elicit that response. Like, I mean, this is the thing, when it is fucking really not for everyone, and that's kind of meant to be the point of it as well.
No, it's not for everyone. And if you do get something out of it, I'm not slighting on that. Like, if you can enjoy music, all power to you. It's just, this was one of the first ones that I came across that I knew from the get-go was definitely not for me in that regard.
I honestly believe that the reason why there are so many different genres of music is because everyone has different tastes, and music is very kind of
subjective.
Yeah, in the sense that I can listen to something and it can make me feel really, really happy, but Wayne, you might listen to the exact same song and it might make you super depressed,
or make his ears bleed. Or
For me, noise music made me angry.
Really?
Yeah, it really made me like
just got the rage going in you.
Yeah,
well, that's what you need to do. What you need to do is you need to listen to that while you're in the gym, and it's like you'll be mad that never going.
I had to shout at my dog
cleaning
the
the
other day,
house,
and I was constantly thinking. I had to shout at my dog the other day, and I don't find it very easy to kind of give out to him because, you know, I'm not a very kind of aggressive person. But in my mind, all I could think of was the kind of beat of the music, and I was just like, ah.
Well, I mean, if it evoked an emotional response in you in any regard, maybe that's not the response they were going for, but at least if it evoked a response like that, it shows that
But the whole point of music is to evoke a feeling, an emotional response in some way, whether it be good or bad, as long as it evokes a feeling.
I suppose that probably
is doing its job, really.
Exactly.
It's definitely not the kind of music that I'd sit down and relax to.
Well, I don't think it's the kind of
I don't think anyone is to sit down and relax to.
It's like,
it might be for
the
somebody.
sounds of screams.
Soothing noise.
It just really annoyed me. It got me in such a bad mood that I was just like, I want to punch someone.
Laura shouted at me at one stage when I was playing something. Turn that fucking off! I can't fucking listen to it.
There was one particular, I can't even remember who you were listening to or what it was, but there was just one particular frequency it hit, and it was just like, this is going to give me a migraine. All the rest of it was fine, but it was just that one particular frequency was just interfering with my own brainwaves enough that I was like, I can feel a migraine coming on. What the fuck is this? You're going to have to turn this off because I'm going to have a raging migraine very soon. And it was actually, I've only seen it, someone recently posted online, they're like, remember when computers, when you were loading them up and it sounded like a fucking pterodactyl screaming eating a corn cob? And I was like, that's what that sounds like. It sounds like the loading screen for a ZX fucking Sinclair Spectrum or something like that, loading up a game where you're just, all you want to do is tell it to shut the fuck up and just load.
Well,
That's exactly it.
This is like, I mean, the thing is, it's not.
But it was just that one track. The rest of it, I was like, oh, it's quite interesting. And I could listen to this bit.
It's what I really admire, because we looked at a couple of documentaries with people, and it's like a lot of them are really, really down to earth people, and it's this weird thing with noise music, because it's very easy to stand back from it and kind of go, this is pretentious bullshit.
And some of it is.
Well, some of it is, of
not.
course, you get that with everything, but it's a lot of the it's the artists I really, really like. It's their way of trying to express themselves. I don't think it's actually a medium that fits well with kind of like, say, recordings. Because like, it's not, you can't sit down and just kind of go, just listen
I'll
to
enjoy this while I'm having my tea.
Yeah.
So do you think it's something that's better enjoyed live?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think it's probably
performative.
Yeah, it is, because when you see a lot of these people, there's a lot of performance that goes with it as well. There was one really funny one where it's like a video. People, it's type in kind of like student performs noise music at a talent show, and it was like a high school where a guy decided that like the rest of them be coming out like, you know, fucking doing their rock stuff or coming out and like doing magic tricks, and he came out. He's very unassuming, kind of like, you know, looks like a polite white student. And then it was like he created the noise. And a lot of guys, they sing when they're doing, but will scream into microphones or fucking smack microphones on their head. And he was like down the ground just going
in like the school auditorium, like when everyone is just standing there like with their mouths hanging open going, what?
And that's what it should be, where people just kind of, there's another guy, I can't think of his name, he's a Japanese guy that's been going around for ages, and what he does is he shows up at open mic nights and does like noise music until he gets into a fight with someone and then just leaves. So it's kind of like this kind of like weird kind of like
provocative kind of
noise terrorism thing. And like a lot of people,
yeah, because in that regard, it does sound funny, and like it sounds like it's interesting. It's just like on its own, like without kind of the extra artistic flares, you have to kind of just weigh it up solely on what it is. And, like that way, it kind of gets sometimes it gets shed by its cold, harsh light, in the sense of sometimes causing migraines.
I think years ago that I went to see this band years ago with a friend.
You saw Mersbo Intramore, did you?
No, but I went to see this band out in Tramore, and it was just pure like screaming. So I don't know what kind of music it was.
Well, knowing your taste in music at that time, that could have just been metal, not even black.
Yeah, it's probably just metal. Yeah, it's
but I did enjoy the performance. I didn't enjoy the music.
So I think noise music as well kind of it is kind of like, say, kind of like performance art to a sort. But as well, there's a band called Sun. If people are ever say it's Sun, and then a lot of time it has a no and kind of like three things. It's like the name of actually an amplifier brand as well. But they do like heavy drone music with guitars, and I remember the first time I went out and bought one of their albums, not realising what they do because everyone was talking about them. They're going fucking mad for him at the time. And the singer, or the head guy, he's not the singer, is called Stephen O'Malley, and I was like, an Irish fella. And sometimes I get like Attila from Mayhem sings for him. Yeah. But and all it is literally is
it's just one long brown
for half an hour, and then for another, and you're like, what the fuck?
I just bought an album of
and
this.
I was like, how is this getting like 9 stars in Kerrang? And like fucking and it's just, and then what I found out, but it's the whole thing with them. What they do is they do these weird pop-up gigs, so they might pop up in like a fucking the ruins of a church and put a gig on, but they show up with like 100 fucking amplifiers, 100 watt amplifiers. The music is so loud, people have to wear headphones or kind of like earplugs when they go to it, or they will go like deaf.
That sounds like that sketch from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it's like, what was it, like Megadeth Ultra like rave or something like that, and it was like, yeah, to listen to them properly, you need to be on a secondary planet in a concrete bunker wearing headphones.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But the whole thing is, well, people that go and see him, they're saying it's just because of the frequencies with it.
You almost feel the music. Well,
You feel
do
the music, and people
yeah.
say it feels like you're floating off the ground. People go into trance-like states because
You're
it's whatever
vibrating with the music, yeah.
the vibrate. So it's this whole thing because of the loudness. So it's not about
That's really
the actual
interesting,
sound.
'cause